Me and Holly had gone to the Home Depot to get some patio furniture. And we picked it all out, and then Holly left. We took 2 cars. And I didn't know this nowadays that when you buy a patio set, it all comes in one massive SUV-sized box. You guys know this? Have you seen this? Here comes 2 guys and another guy guiding so they don't run anybody over, pushing this massive box. In it, it's got our big table with glass. It's got 2 smaller tables with glass. It's got 4 chairs. It's got all of the cushions, and I think a swimming pool. It's got everything in the world in this massive one box. And so they push it over, and I'm like, well, that's not going to fit in the Kia. And so I'm like, I'm going to have to rent a. So I went over and I rented the Home Depot truck, and I told the girl, I said, I'm probably going to need some help getting this in the truck. And she's like, you think? I'm like, I think. Yeah, thank you. And she said, I'll send a few guys out to help you. So I pushed that thing all the way out into the parking lot, got to the Home Depot truck, and I waited about 4 or 5 minutes. And, it's just the way that me and Jason and my dad are built. I look at that long enough, and I'm just like, I can do that. I could put that in there, right? Right? And so, right, Jason, this is how we're built. And so, and of course, the truck bed is this high on me. And so I pull it down. I stretch a little bit. I don't want to pull a hammy. And so I get on that thing, and I know I got to give it all. And so I give everything. And I even made the scream where you go, rap! I might have been trying to pick up this church. It didn't move even an inch. The only thing that moved was my spleen moved about 7 inches. And I went, well, that ain't going to happen. So I waited another 4 or 5 minutes, and I was just getting ready to go and see if they're going to send somebody out. And all of a sudden, I hear way off in the distance like a hacking cough. Like, that cough of somebody that's been smoking for like 50 years, right? And I look, and way off in the distance, it's coming, and the sun's just barely setting. Here comes this little thing coming and coming, and about every 10 feet stops and has to hack a little bit, little cough, and then keeps coming. And as it gets closer and closer, it's not getting any bigger. And I notice now it's wearing the Home Depot little apron, and up he gets right about here, and I notice he's the oldest person I've ever seen in my entire life. He's in his mid-hundreds, you know what I'm saying? He's got a Social Security number 3. And so I'm like, oh, hey, and his name is George. I'm like, hey, George. He said, all right, let's get this thing up in this truck. I got stuff to do. And I went, is there some more guys coming? He goes, why? Aren't you going to help? I said, well, no, I'm going to help. He says, that's all we need. Come on, let's get this thing done. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. And so he goes around, and while he's walking around the big, massive box, he's like, now, I'm going to need you to give 110%. I don't need you to just do that mamsy-pamsy stuff. I'm going to need you to give everything you've got. If we're going to get this up in that truck, boy, I'm going to need you to give some effort on this thing. And I'm like, okay, George, I'm on it. What's funny is when we're talking, I can't see him because the box is so big. Like it looks like I'm talking to a box. So George goes, all right, boy, you ready? I'm like, I think. He's like, all right, ready. 1, 2, 3, go. And I lift with everything I got in me, right? You ever been lifting harder than you think the other guy is lifting because the box is kind of angled up? And so I get it up to here, but I got to get it way up here, and my arms and my legs are shaking. And George is on the side. He's like, come on, boy, come on. Come on, you can get more than that. Come on, lift a little bit more. Come on, I know you got more in you. And then all of a sudden, George slides his body underneath the box like this. And he's like, come on, I need you to give some more. And I'm thinking to myself, if I drop this, George dies. I ain't got no option now. I got to get it up. He's like, come on, a little harder, boy. And so I get over there, and I put it up on the ledge. A sweat is just pouring. He's like, oh, I got to do everything, huh, boy? You got to help out at all? George, I give everything I got. He's like, well, we ain't got it all day. Come on, I got other stuff to do, boy. We're burning daylight over here. Let's get the other side. He's like, I need you to give a little more this time, though, because this end's going to be a little harder. We got to pick it up, and we're going to have to push it all the way back in that bag. You ready, boy? I'm like, yeah, I think so. I don't know. I need a break. He's like, we ain't got time for a break. He's like, come on, Riff. And so I lift. He slides under again. He's like, come on. And I get it all the way up. I push it all the way in, and I'm like, and then I just lay down on the concrete right there. I just lay down, and I'm like, Jesus, I'm coming home today. I'm so tired. I can't breathe. And George comes over, and he's like, you know what, boy? You did all right. He said, problem is you need to get in the gym. You out of shape.